Well, hey everyone, thank you for joining us today in partnership with Corra for this kind of unconventional meeting. We wanted to take the opportunity to talk about, particularly in this unique time, visual product experience and how we can bridge that gap between in-store and e-commerce. My name is Hillary Murdoch. I am a product marketer here at Threekit, and I'm joined by my colleague, Tony Lopez, who's in sales engineering. He'll be running you through some demos after I talk about my piece up front. So again, thanks for joining, and hopefully we can all learn something. So like I said, this is a time of great uncertainty for businesses. This is unprecedented time in terms of in-store experience being more or less shut down. And in light of that, the one thing that we do know during this period is that e-commerce is really taking off across pretty much every category you can think of. So there's been a 40% jump for e-com since the state of emergency was declared in early March. What's also interesting is some of the biggest categories of growth in e-com are everyday essentials, of course, gloves, cough medicine, soup, things that people would never think to buy online. They're not now buying online, of course, out of necessity. And then additionally, we're seeing stores that have off-price models with no e-com presence really struggling in light of this. So there has been a real shift going on, and the question is, how will that impact buying behavior in the long run? So the current scenario is really training people to shop for, again, all kinds of goods online. And what we feel is that coming out of this, that buying landscape is not necessarily going to go back to exactly what it looked like before. So we actually have a view of that. This is from Statista. This is a view of the marketplace around the beginning of the year. And what this chart does is break down every single category across goods that you can think of and where those categories are traditionally bought. So groceries and essentials, 97% of that typically happens in store, and on down the line, automotive, appliances, all the way down to where you get to things like toys and games and books. Those things before this were actually predominantly bought in e-commerce, but everything else still had a majority hold in store. And this is our view, our projected view of, based on the data that we have, of what that looks like today. Obviously, a lot of forced shutdowns mean that, with the exception of groceries and essentials, everything is being bought predominantly online right now, depending on when decrees went out for stores to be shut down. And as you can see, it's overwhelmingly e-commerce driven right now, then, of course, out of necessity. But the big thing we want to keep our eye on is, in 6 months, hopefully when things have returned to quote unquote normal, will this landscape have shifted permanently? And our feeling is that yes, we're going to see some categories where people who previously only would have trusted themselves to buy in store, things like furniture, apparel, electronics, they've now had the experience of buying online. They found that a lot of the technology that's been available make that experience really easy with the visuals and descriptions. Brands and businesses can drive a lot of confidence in consumers. And what a lot of these people are going to discover is, like, I don't have to go in store to buy that thing anymore. I know where good experiences lie online. I know that I've bought, that piece of furniture or that pair of shoes online before, and I'm willing to do it again. And for a lot of people, it's going to shift their behavior permanently. So the question is, how are businesses and brands going to respond to this new reality? And one thing that we've long known when it comes to e-commerce is that 83% of buyers point to product visuals as the most influential factor in their purchasing decision. So particularly as e-commerce takes on even more importance and emphasis for brands and businesses, visuals are going to become one of the most powerful weapons that a brand has in order to help consumers understand their products. And we've got a very easy breakdown in how we categorize, good product visual experience. So it's images, plain and simple, providing enough images. Today, consumers expect 8+ product images per product page. That's up from only 3 about 3 years ago. So again, the expectations when it comes to product images have really exploded. 3D empowers customers to customize and configure in real time, really make products their own, and drives confidence that they are buying the exact thing that they want. And then, of course, augmented reality is becoming even more important for brands, particularly where size and space are an issue. So furniture, appliances, providing AR experiences allows brands to help their consumers put products in their space and make sure that they're just right. So all 3 of these things and a combination of them can really help pay off when it comes to the investment that brands are making. So what we've seen with our customers is, higher conversion, getting visual product experience, better visual product experience drives up to 40% more conversions, lower returns. So product configurators can ensure accuracy and decrease returns by as much as 50%. And then higher cart value. When customers are allowed to customize and configure, the odds of them paying more for a product go up. So you can get they pay about 20% more for a product they can actually customize themselves. So this is how we like to think of, where visuals can really pay off and what kind of experiences customers are going to be looking for increasingly as e-commerce becomes more important. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to my friend Tony. He's going to walk you guys through a few really hands-on demos that start to bring some of these concepts to life.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Hillary. And as you were mentioning, Hillary, right, there are those 3 experiences when it comes to Threekit and anything visual. So we are going to take a look at all 3: 3D configuration, 2D renders, as well as augmented reality. And we're going to start off here in what is actually a Magento e-commerce store. Luma Furniture is a company we made up so that we can show some examples of Threekit integrated directly into Magento. And over in my storage section, I have an example of a Zeus media cabinet. And of course, the first thing that is going to grab our attention is going to be that 3D model directly on the product page itself. So what we're looking at here is a Threekit embedded player directly on my configurable product page. And what should look familiar over on the right-hand side is going to be our standard Magento attribute set. But we'll notice as I go through and start selecting my different options here, of course, we're going to see an instant change to the visual over on the left. Now, also what this means by virtue of a Magento attribute set is everything having to do with pricing, shopping cart, etc., is all going to be managed directly inside of Magento. And all Threekit needs to worry about is rendering that visual corresponding to the customer's attribute selections. So let's go through and fill out the rest of my options here. You can see I've got currently doors all the way across, but maybe I want to swap out some drawers in my middle section. And you'll notice as I do that, we're only going to update just that specific area in the visualization itself. And the way we enable that is by componentizing every piece of 3D. So living on the Threekit platform, I have my 2-compartment and my 3-compartment media units and corresponding door options and drawer options, so that as the user makes a selection, Threekit will dynamically grab the corresponding component and bring that directly into the visualization. And in short, what we're looking at with a couple of different material option changes and wood finish changes is ultimately 600 different permutations. And we're allowing that with just a few pieces of 3D and 3D material living on the Threekit platform. So just to finish off this this example, we could do the same type of configuration directly from a mobile device. And we can see here I have my same media cabinet, the same options. We can configure a couple of different components there. You'll notice that view in your space button. So when I go ahead and press the button here, that's going to automatically launch the native, in this case, iOS AR player. And we can see here, just to make sure that it fits, make sure it looks correct with the rest of my furniture, maybe I'm looking to replace that media console in the back with a new one with some extra storage and some drawers. So again, just to kind of recap there, what we're looking at, a full 3D configuration directly inside of Magento. I've got a few different options and attributes driven by Magento that ultimately enables hundreds of different configurations that Threekit is providing the visualization for. And lastly, again, it's all 100% web-based, so no need to download additional apps or additional browser plugins. And the same goes for my augmented reality as well. The next example we wanted to show is the 2D use case that Hillary had also mentioned. And you'll notice actually on this homepage here for my store, for my Luma store, this image that we're looking at is actually, it's 100% a 2D render of a 3D scene. So everything that we see here was once upon a time a 3D model, everything from the floors, the lights, the furniture, and even the lights themselves. And some things to really call out here is you can think of Threekit really as a digital photography studio. So things again like camera angles and lighting and all the lighting effects and shadows are all properties that you can configure inside of Threekit that really lend to these very rich photorealistic 2D renders that now we can propagate across an entire e-commerce store, websites, and even print material. So let's go ahead and drill into this particular product, this Airy sofa. And we'll notice I've got a few different options here when it comes to my materials. We can cycle through those, a couple different leg finish options. But really what we want to see here is this full 360-degree experience that we're providing. So again, taking that same concept of a 3D configuration, I have a couch and I have about a half a dozen different 3D materials that I wrap over that couch. And since Threekit is behaving as a digital photography studio, I can now cycle through all of those different materials, all of those different permutations, and rotate my camera around that studio so that we can take these very rich 2D images that, again, I can now use in my website, plug directly into Magento, or anywhere else for that matter. And just a couple quick examples here. One more when it comes to 2D, so we're going to leave Magento. But what we wanted to show was a variety of different use cases. So not just configurable furniture, but anything even including apparel. So what we have here, again, are 2D renders, and I can zoom in a little bit here so we can see some of that fine detail, all of the different threadings and fabrics and stitching, all of the patterns inside of the liner itself, maybe cycle through a few different views. We also have a number of different patterns in here as well. And the same thing like those sofas we were looking at in the Magento store, once upon a time, all of these images that we're looking at came from 3D models. Those 3D models were basically a jacket, a sleeve, a cuff, an interior liner. And what we did was cycle through, in this case, thousands of different fabrics, materials, and liners to ultimately result in, for this particular customer, over 2 billion different permutations of suits that can be configured. And the last example we wanted to show is going to be actually this Rolex watch. And what we want to emphasize here is just that level of visual quality that we can still achieve even when providing a 3D experience. So a very simple configuration here. I've just got a few different options when it comes to the band and the metal. But the main thing that we wanted to call out here is since I am working with a 3D model, I can also target very specific areas within that 3D model or that 3D component. So what we're starting to see much more of, a number of our customers, whether they're selling apparel, whether they're selling jewelry, and even cookware, is that people want to personalize that. So we can see here, right, we'll just go ahead and add in my name. We can really toss anything we'd like in here. And in this case, we're targeting just the back of the watch there. But really what this means is because it is a 3D model, I can target any specific area on the watch that needs to be customized. If it is personalization, engraving, maybe logo and image uploads, 100% can also be supported with a Threekit platform. And just to kind of close off that conversation and tie it together with the previous couple of examples, if we now need to, for example, save this configuration and send it off to our customers, maybe we want to create one of those 2D images so that now I can share it with my friends and family and show what I've configured before I actually purchase it. 100% we can support those different export capabilities and those different output options. So with that, I wanted to pass it back to Hillary. We've been getting a few questions and happy to answer those before wrapping up the session.
Great. Thank you, Tony. So yeah, happy to have taken you guys through that overview and some great demos there. We do have a time for a few more questions that have come in from those viewing right now. The first is, how does this integrate with Magento? So how does Threekit integrate with Magento? Tony, you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. So just going back to that Luma furniture example that we were demonstrating a moment ago, of course, that was in a Magento store. And when it came to Threekit, there were really two main functions that need to occur. There's, of course, embedding the Threekit player itself. And what we have to really streamline that integration implementation is actually a Threekit package available in the Magento store. So we install that package, and it's literally as simple as associating my specific Threekit org, and each individual product now has a field called a Threekit ID. I plug in my Threekit ID, and now that Magento product page is going to be enabled to show the visualization without any customization, without any other setup or implementation. I can now visualize all of my products, provided I have the 3D asset for them living inside of Threekit. I can now visualize all of those side by side in my Magento product page with the standard Magento 2D images. And whenever I've associated a Threekit product alongside of it, we'll also have the option to view it in 3D.
Great. Thank you for that. The other question that we got is, what kind of products can you use this for? Tony just went through kind of a variety across categories, jewelry, furniture, etc. We kind of like to say that we are fit for any physical good that you want to sell, particularly if your portfolio is pretty vast, or if you have customizable or configurable products. What we do is really help you achieve that scale across your entire portfolio. We've got use cases anywhere from building materials, contract furniture, all the way to, of course, jewelry, apparel, shoes, etc. So we love to talk to prospects and customers about their new use cases. And like I said, there's not a whole lot that we can't do when it comes to the world of selling physical goods. So that's where we stand on that. And then finally, one more, I think we have time for one more question. Tony, how does the 3D modeling actually happen?
Yeah, great question. Always going to be the number one requirement and prerequisite, of course, for any Threekit project. When it comes to 3D modeling, modeling can occur any number of ways. Oftentimes, our customers actually will have 3D models already existing. be they manufacturing files, different CAD files, or maybe they had a different 3D project once upon a time. So when it comes to Threekit, we'll go ahead and consume all of those different 3D assets that already exist, so we don't have to stop using systems that people are already used to. Any standard 3D file format, again, or CAD file format, is 100% supported by Threekit. What we'll do is then just consume those 3D files and wrap a configuration around it. So again, just a reference back to the Luma furniture and that media storage cabinet that we walked through. What happened there is we had about 6 different pieces of 3D assets that were modeled. There was the 2 and 3 compartment frames themselves, and then each of the doors and drawer systems that went into each individual compartment. So at the end of the day, again, it was really just 6 pieces of 3D modeling and a couple of 3D assets, or excuse me, 3D materials. And those 3D materials were the different wood finishes that allowed me to configure and assemble dynamically what resulted in about 600 different product permutations.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. I think the question about 3D modeling is always one of the first when we have a new customer on board. So thanks for that overview. And we are just about at time. Listen, this was really fun. We hope that you guys all got something out of it. We first want to thank our partners at Corra for hosting this. And you know, go ahead and think about some of the things we presented here today. And if you'd like to learn more, you can find us at threekit.com or give us a shout at sales@threekit.com. We love to talk to folks about how we can help enhance their product visualization and allow them to drive their business goals as well. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. For me and Tony, thank you all for joining today, and hopefully we'll be speaking soon. Bye now.